All right, welcome everybody to the Nicks podcast from start
To finish.
to finish. You got it.
Yeah.
Well done. Today we are honored to have our guest here and employee, Nick Jarrett.
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 Yes, that's
Okay.
how it's said.
2 T's
2 T's.
and 2 R's.
2 R's.
Yes. All right.
A lot of people don't get it right, but
There you
got
go.
it. You got
Okay. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about some of our roots, actually, our roots in wildfire. And Nick just got back from the Prescott, Arizona Wildfire Academy. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I guess a little bit of history. A lot of people know that we started in wildfire and logging, and wildfire was really the core of our business. And we used to chase wildfires. We used to take trailers full of boots, and we'd go to these things called commissaries where all the firefighters were set up, and we would sell boots out of trailers. And that's kind of how things got started back in the 80s, 90s. And then these academies started popping up, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, and we started touring the academies. And that was really marketing back then. You know, we didn't have the interwebs, or we did, but we just weren't really aggressive on there. And so you just kind of travel around to these academies and you'd sell boots. And so that was the experience that you had. Let's kind of get into it. First of all, who the heck are you, Nick? And who is next to you? Could you introduce?
Yeah, so this is our good buddy Luke Larson. You
Luke,
might know
okay.
him from, he's often on like Reddit and social forums, things
Yep.
like that for Nicks. Like,
Okay.
He does a lot, so he's a great guy. He's a little bit shy, so
Yeah.
take it easy on him today.
Okay.
He's a good guy though.
Yeah, he does not look well.
No, he's very
Okay.
sick.
Oh yeah.
There's
All right.
something not
We'll probably
quite right
let him
there.
go home
We'll let him
early.
go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, paid time off for that guy.
We'll just
Um,
pivot from him back to you.
I'm a sales associate here.
Okay.
I do in-store fitting. I used to be a boot maker, so I have that kind of under my belt.
Okay.
And I feel like that helps me describe the process to a lot of people and help them through fitting.
For sure.
But yeah, that's just like a little bit of what I do here.
And as a boot maker, what positions specifically did you spend your most of the time in?
A lot of time bottoming, which is putting like the soles on the boots.
Okay.
But also lasting, shanking, healing as well.
Okay.
A little bit of hooks and eyes, but I was not very good at it.
Okay.
Those hook and eye, the guys that run those
I know.
they're good.
The
I
eyelet
mean, you
machine
press that
is-
pedal and
yeah.
it's like off like a machine gun.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So.
I've tried it and I've scared myself with it. But mostly bottoming. You did a lot of the
Yeah.
corks, right? You were the cork
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
For a while?
Well, I didn't like that I was the cork guy. That's the toughest. I'm glad I was out of that because like I feel like I had to teach some of the other guys like Jamin and
Yeah.
Connor and Alan and the rest of the guys how to
Yeah.
do the caulk boots, and they are really. There's a reason they're like $800 right now.
Yeah. Oh
for
yeah.
a pair.
Yeah.
Like the amount of it's so labor intensive. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Well, you know, that's part of our history as well. You know, Steve Mao, the owner of Nicks, co-owns it with Schuyler. That was, you know, his roots are in logging and cork boots. And cork boots are one of the reasons why he bought this company. You know, his dad was a logger, and he just remembers these spiked cork boots laying around everywhere. And that's part of the story. I think when somebody approached him more or less into retirement, somebody said if you could buy a business for under this amount of money that made stuff, you should do it. And that's when this opportunity came up, and he was just like, boots are in my blood, specifically cork boots. You know, there's not a ton of demand for those cork boots anymore, at least in the style of boot we make. A lot of them have gone to kind of lighter weight hikers with corks, but it's something that you know, we don't sell a lot of, and I've been tempted to pull them off the website a few times, but I get slapped on the wrist.
You can.
I know you can't.
There's going to be a lot of backlash if you were to end up doing that.
I know.
First of all,
But I hear
people
it from the
love
boot makers.
watching it
Yeah,
on YouTube. So
that's
like
right.
from like a YouTube standpoint,
It
you
is
could
the
never
best.
pull it off. Like every other comment is about was it SpongeBob?
Yeah.
The biker, the boots.
That's right. That's right. Yes, sir. Yep. We will never get rid of the corks. But yeah, I saw you back there learning the cork game and with the punch and
It's
the hammer.
tough, man.
Tough.
That is
We
it's
could
just like one
definitely-
of the most labor intensive ones.
We could
It's just the
improve that.
fact that we make the sole. Like it comes in these, for the listeners here, it comes in these big square sheets, and we have to draw it with a grease pen where we want to cut it out, and then we trim it on this 3-in-1 trimmer.
Yeah.
And then we have to sand them down, and then we can punch all the holes out, and then put there's like two parts to there's like the actual spikes, which is the caulks, and
Right.
then there's the inserts
Mm-hmm.
that go in there. There's just so much to
Yeah,
it. It's just,
yeah.
and like when you think about every other boot, like we don't have to make the sole. The sole is
Right.
made. We just need to be put on there and trimmed.
Right. Yeah. They should definitely be more money than what we charge. Yeah.
You can't take them off the website though. You can't do it.
That's right. Yeah. So, anyways, that's a little bit of your boot background. You kind of shifted up front, fitting, and then hey, the Arizona Wildfire Academy came up, and we said who would be better to go than somebody that wears a cowboy hat on a regular basis and a bolo. I did that trip several times. I'll be honest, I felt a little out of place because I didn't have enough like cowboy vibe in me, and so Shyler
is a
was like,
cowboy town.
"We're going
Yeah.
this year," and I said, "I think we know who I know who we need to send." So yeah, so tell us a little bit about you've been working on boots, selling boots. Tell us about your experience down there. The hotel situation would be a nice start, and then just kind of your general impression. As an employee, you hear a lot about wildland fire, fire boots, NFPA. This is probably your first experience, actually fitting firefighters.
Yeah. Well, they are certainly underappreciated, to say the least, which I'll get into like a little bit of that later. But I suppose right now, like to start off, my hotel.
Yeah.
So you suggested a hotel to me,
Right.
Hotel Vendome,
Uh-huh.
which is supposedly a haunted hotel.
Yep.
And Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, it sounds like just a bunch of ghost cowboys hanging out in an old lobby.
Right.
And it was when I went in there. So I went in there after check-in, so nobody was there. And then I was on the second floor, so I walked up these
How
super
did you get your key?
creaky.
'Cause
So
it's
it was
still-
it
it's
was
still a
through.
key,
No,
right?
it was a. No. Okay, so they had the. So this is the last place in Arizona that still has the physical keys.
That's right.
They still have the physical keys to the rooms, but to the actual lobby, there's like a punch in,
Right.
like an electronic thing.
Okay.
So I get in there and like these steps are super
Creaky.
like super
Uh-huh.
creaky going
Right.
up there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was on the second floor, and then when
Yeah.
I get up to the second floor, it's pitch black
Yeah.
all the way down the hall, and all I can see is the exit signs that
Yeah.
are like lit up, and I'm like, is this a joke? Like, are they trying to scare people? Like it's ridiculous. I'm like, I looked around and I was looking for a light switch. I'm like, somebody must have just forgot about the light switch or something. And I'm like, I don't know if they're just trying to like scare the hell out of me or what's going on here.
Yeah. And that's when you realized
but-
that I had called them ahead of time and told them to turn the lights
No,
off.
the lights worked in my room, but I'm like, the hallway was pitch black. And then I was using my phone light down there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope I don't hear anything. If I hear anything, I'm gonna jump right now.
It's funny, I'm just I'm an anti-ghost believer, So when I pitched the idea, I said, it's a really cool hotel. It might be haunted. You kind of froze in your tracks, and you were like, "Come again? What did you say?" And I was like, "Oh no, this could be really bad."
I was really like, I've never stayed in any like haunted place. So I'm like, how haunted are we talking? Like, if I hear noises like all through the night, I'm not gonna sleep, and then I'm not gonna work well the next days.
Yeah.
It ended up being totally fine.
Yeah.
But if I was in room 3 or 16, I'd be booking it out.
Oh
there.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because those were before I went in there. I was reading about the rooms, and 3 and 16 are supposed to be like the most like haunted in there.
Are they more expensive or less expensive?
I think it's
Are
the
they
same price,
Okay.
but you just kind of like if you get put in there, it's kind of like too bad, buddy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
sort of thing. They don't tell you your room beforehand.
There you go. Well, I mean, that's I love that place. I've stayed there probably 5 times, and it seems like a lot of these chain hotels are kind of all the same, but there's always some unique experience there. And
It was definitely unique.
yeah,
It was definitely
Did you get some free complimentary drinks?
No.
No.
All
Okay.
I had, so
I
there was
thought
no
they had a
like
complimentary bar, didn't they?
the bar costed money, and I
No.
was never there during that because like
Oh,
when I
okay.
would get back, it was so late
Okay.
already
There's
when I
like
was
a
getting
happy
back.
hour thing, I think, where
But
you get one drink
oh,
from like, I don't
okay.
know,
Well,
5 to 8.
I missed out. I paid for all my
Okay,
drinks
all
there.
good. All right, so you hung out with the ghosts, and then you headed out to the academy. Just talk about your impressions there. What was surprising to you, what you appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, Monday night was pretty packed, just because it was the vendors' night at the
Yeah,
academy. Um, Definitely the most fun night out of all of them.
yeah,
And I've gotten to. What was cool is like not only did I get to fit like a lot of new incoming students for their like I-90
yeah,
course,
yep.
um, there was a lot of return Nicks customers that I got a chance to talk to.
Okay.
That were like, I've been wearing Nicks for like 5 or like 15
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
And I'm like, hey, how do I get a rebuild or a resole? And they just never have gotten
yeah.
any repair
Right,
work done, and they're just like old beaters.
right,
And
right.
then I'm taking them through the process of how to get them rebuilt and resold.
Hmm.
But it was cool to talk to some of the people that have had Nicks for like a long time
Yeah,
already.
yeah. There's a huge amount of appreciation. I find that always overwhelming when a guy might just walk by the booth and he might not have his nicks on, but you might engage with him a little bit. Hey, how's it going? What kind of boots you wear? Oh, Nicks.
Mm.
Oh, cool. How long have you had them? Or, oh, I've been wearing Nicks for 15, 20 years. This is I got 4 pairs. But yeah, it is. I am always amazed at how poorly they take care of their boots. And
Yeah, no, they don't take care
it
of
takes our
them.
presence at an academy to remind them that they need to probably send them in to get resold. I used to actually bring a lot of boots home for resole and
Oh,
rebuild.
really? No, I had a couple people ask me like, "Oh, can you take these home with me?" I'm like, "I'm
Okay.
flying out. I can't. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
sorry."
yeah. I think I would just shove them in the boxes. And yeah. So you had like a spin the wheel thing going on,
Yeah, I had to
right?
spin the wheel going.
Our booth
It was
vibe was really good.
super packed.
Yeah.
I was fitting like 3 people at once in there. We had this spinner wheel
Yeah.
that had different prizes on it, such as belt, hats, key fob, laces, kilties,
Hmm.
stuff like that. And basically, whenever someone would spin, they were just hoping for the belt.
Yeah.
Everyone would
Okay.
say,
How many
"Oh,
belts did you bring?
uh,
Oh, okay.
35,"
Okay. Yeah.
and like having a free belt from us is like, yeah, and then
Yeah, it's a good belt.
that's a good belt.
Yep, yep.
That's not going anywhere for a
Yeah,
long time.
right, right.
So that is definitely a very good deal.
Yeah.
And
So how many people won belts? Were they
well,
all?
they were all gone.
Wow.
So we were that like I said that night, I just got
Wow.
robbed dry there
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
because all I had left was laces and kilties
Okay.
because I gave out so much free
That's
stuff.
amazing. Yeah.
But I know, especially people that were wearing Nicks or even some other P&W brands could use like our products like laces and kilties.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you talked about how initially that you felt like wildland firefighters are underappreciated. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Just even when it comes to the pay, let's say like you're making really good money. Let's say you are a hotshot
Yeah.
and you're working like 60 days on, 5 days off
Yeah.
for half the year. Let's say even if you're making 60 or 70 grand
Yeah.
a year, which
Yeah.
is like pretty good money.
Mhm. Yeah.
At that point, like a lot of those guys have families
Right.
and they're not even able to see
Yeah.
their wife or kids
Right.
for
Yeah.
however long.
Yeah.
So, and just talking to like I chatted with one of the hot shots from San Diego in a bar there one night,
Mhm.
and just the way he described it to me, it seemed like it was like really hard for him to justify it
Yeah.
being worth it.
Right. Right.
To an extent, like we need these people.
Right.
We absolutely need them. They're essential. But he definitely felt underappreciated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because the money doesn't make up for the time lost.
Right.
It never does.
Right. Right. As well as the hazardous situations that they
Yeah.
find themselves in.
The amount of deaths
Yeah.
is very
Right.
concerning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think you mentioned the Eric Marsh Foundation. They're obviously key to the event, but I think the awareness there of even PTSD has been, that's really in just the last 10 years or more. But you think about some of the situations, a lot of these guys are young, and you think about the situations that they encounter,
Mm.
the things that they see. um, experiencing a death of a crew member, or even just being in some pretty panic situations, those have some serious effects that you can't just kind of brush off. And so, shout out to the Eric Marsh Foundation for doing the work that they do. We donate to them every year. We usually run a promo where we give 10% of sales for a certain period to that foundation. But there's definitely, whenever I'm there, I sense this tension of like underappreciation, conditions getting worse, which they are. It's like California is just lighting up every year. But there's also this definite pride in the work. It's not for everybody. When I hear people really talking about what their workday is like and for how long they're on a roll, I'm just processing like I'm a huge baby. Like I would last like 15 minutes,
I'm like, that's when I hear about stuff like that, like the 12 to 15 hour days where some days they're at camp the whole day and some days they're moving the entire day.
Yeah.
I think I could get myself to do that, but maybe for a week or so before I wanted to go home and see my wife.
That's
like,
yeah.
It's just that time away from family is like one of the biggest parts of that.
Right. Yeah. And there's a significant amount of positions that are not getting filled, so a lot of this is really, I think, coming to light, and people are realizing the fires are not going away. You can only pitch this as, hey, if you're young and fit and you want an adventure, sign up for so long. For those that want to stay in it as a career, there's a lot going on, at the federal level and the state level for better compensation, which is well deserved once you start talking to people that have had some serious fire seasons. And I think that's the bigger theme is, it was more, in quotes, manageable, I'd say about 10 years ago. But I'd say in the last 10 years, there's a significant awareness now of fires are different. They are bigger, they are more intimidating. And that just makes the work all the more stressful. It's not just prescribed burns, it's actual significant acreage in California. So, that's great. I mean, how many people would you say like you fit, like you laced up and fit?
Oh, geez. I don't know.
Did you get calluses on your fingers? Or?
No, I did not get calluses.
Then you didn't fit enough people.
Maybe 40 people.
Okay.
I fit a surprising number of women there, which is not common for Nicks. Like Nicks is unisex boots and boots for everybody. Yeah. But surprising number of women getting fitted for boots.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot. I mean, you probably saw. I mean, what percent do you think were female there?
At the actual academy, probably like less than 10%, but I just happened to have like a lot of people that were getting fitted. I don't know if it was like their first year there.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're excited. I think we do have a reputation for having small sizes, or just being able to fit narrower feet. So
yeah, that was one thing that was good. I brought smaller sizes with me, so that was actually very helpful for some of those people.
Yeah. That's coming from somebody that has a very, petite foot.
Yeah. A to D's, right? That's what you wear, A to D's.
A to D's, man, yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, A's and D's fit the best. I don't know how you do it.
I think you just make it work, It's like, dang, those are a little tight, but hey, we're going to make them work. And, but yeah, that was a reference to another podcast talking about sizing, which, would be another great topic. There is this kind of mystery of sizing and people splitting hairs over things where really your foot does most of that work, breaking things in.
Yeah.
An A is going to fit pretty dang tight, but in my case, it feels like my D after it's broken in,
Mm-hmm.
So any other takeaways from the event that you were surprised by or?
I was mostly just happy that we got rid of like all of our merch, especially in that first night. It actually made me very happy because I saw everybody walking around with Nicks hats, Nicks belts, kilties.
Yeah.
And one thing that I will say made me really happy was there was a couple of people from other, maybe P&W or other boot makers that came to the booth to get fitted because they're like, I tried these other ones. They're not working for me. Yeah. I've heard things about you guys. I want to try with your company now.
Right.
So I fitted them some of our boots.
Yeah.
yeah, I was just really happy. And I saw there was one guy that did like a fit by phone or
Mm-hmm.
something of that.
Something super custom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with another company. The size that he had was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
He should have been a D, and he was like a double or triple
Yeah.
F.
Yeah.
It was extremely wide, and when I sized him, he's like, "Yeah, I've had to wear 2 socks, and they keep slipping around on me."
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
"Well, I see
Yeah.
that."
Yeah.
And I ended up selling him a pair that worked for him, and he was
Yeah.
really happy about it. So,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one thing we do take pride in is really just giving people the best information we can about sizing.
mhm,
There is a little bit of an apology tour. I mean, that's not how it always was. When
mhm.
I first started, people would say these are way too tight and they hurt. And our mantra was, just break it in, it needs break in. And, you inevitably would have people coming in just like it didn't break in. And then we'd stretch it and they'd be like, well, that still hurts. So I think, our experience in letting the customer kind of gauge what they're comfortable with, I think has been super beneficial for us. People want us to be the experts, tell me what size I should be, but ultimately it's a matter of them kind of figuring it out with our assistants, and I think it's been a huge success. That's why my first pair of boots was like way too tight. I just remember like getting laced up here and
I've had a few different sizes now.
yeah,
I'll say
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I think I know what I'm most happy with and what works for me with smaller socks in the summer.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah.
um, like you were saying, you can break it in, I guess.
You shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
The width and length should be okay. It's more so just the insole
Right.
that if you're like, oh man, it's really hard. I'm like, well, you gotta break
Yeah.
in the insole.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're usually kind of new to the P&W boot world if
Right.
they're struggling with something like
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah. I do remember my first pair of Builder Pros. I was like, wow, I'm supposed to sell these things and these things are miserable.
Yeah.
But after a couple months, I was like, these are
It's part of the
socks.
investment.
That's
It's part of
right.
the investment that you
Yeah.
make. Yeah.
Well, let's pivot before we close to hats. You're a hat guy
I'm a hat guy.
and you're a Bolo guy.
I love my Bolos
I
too.
should have worn my middle school Bolo.
That was a wonderful picture.
6th grade, actually. Yeah.
I really liked that.
Maybe we'll post that. That'll be the behind the scenes. It's a picture of me 2 feet shorter than a bunch of my lady friends in the 6th grade at a 6th
You look
grade
great.
graduation.
You look
and,
great.
I had a Bolo on. But yeah, I mean, hats. How many cowboy hats do you wear?
I have like 5, I think.
Okay.
I've had to get rid of a couple because it got to be too much.
Okay.
After a while, I had to sell a couple or give some away.
Nasty, or they were just excessive?
No, it's just I had too many. It's kind of like
Okay.
boots, and I
Oh,
come
yeah.
home and my wife is like, "Oh, you're getting another set of Packers." Like she's
Yeah.
like, "Where are you gonna put them?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "I don't know yet, but I'll make space."
Yeah.
I will say, Prescott, a lot of cowboy hats out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I saw a sign for. I don't know if this is true, but it's their claim. Oldest rodeo in the U.S.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
our world's first rodeo
Well, that's
took place
fascinating.
there.
Huh.
So
We'll have to fact check
hence
that.
the amount of cowboy hats we
Yeah.
saw at the academy. There's definitely that cowboy code going on
Yeah,
there.
right.
You see a lot of those square toe ostrich skin boots
Right,
and the
yeah.
cowboy hats. That's just kind of the style.
Yeah.
When they're not in the wildland boots, they're in the cowboy boots.
Yep. Did anyone comment on your cowboy hat or?
No, you know what? They didn't, but I think that's because people are more accustomed to it.
Right.
Whereas here, like sometimes in store, I'll get a comment about, "Oh, you're wearing a bolo tie. I like those things. My grandma used to like have some of
Yeah.
those, or my grandpa used to wear them."
Yeah.
And I love native jewelry too. I
Yeah.
think it's a really cool thing.
Yeah. So what material is that hat?
This is not like a super expensive
Okay.
one. I mean, I've got my Stetsons, but this is like, I want to say like $100 one that I bought in Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is a Stratton made in the USA.
Oh, those are actually decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They specialize in law enforcement. I got this at an estate sale. There was a straw one. They came in these plastic cases,
Mhm.
and it said like $20 on it. And I think I said, "Can I give you 20 for both?" And she was like, absolutely, they're my ex-husbands.
You were
and I
getting
don't- and
such a deal,
they're
though.
my
and
ex-husbands, and
It's
I'd
a
rather
fur
not see
felt,
them
though,
ever.
right?
Huh?
It's a fur felt, like a beaver fur felt.
You know, I don't know.
Should say like beaver 5 times, beaver 3 times on the inside.
You know, you're the expert.
Usually it's stated on the inside, and if it's pretty stiff, it's probably beaver.
We can analyze that later, but
Yeah, I will say my straw hat that's a little bit similar to this is Mike. I got it at the weirdest place. There was a guy like one of our lasters here, Andrew.
Yeah.
He called me up and he's like, "Hey, there's a guy selling cowboy hats out in front of the Mexican restaurant out next to your
Really?
place." And I was like, "No, you're joking me, man. I'm not
Oh,
falling for
wow.
that."
Yeah.
And then I went out there and I drove out to El Rancho Chico,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Mexican place.
Yeah.
There's an old guy sitting outside of there with a truck bed full of cowboy hats.
No
So I bought one out
kidding.
there.
Oh, wow.
It was like $40, and I'm like, man, this is a steal. This is awesome.
Talk about an impulse buy. I love it. Well, yeah, we'll wrap it up. But no, I'm glad this gives me an excuse to wear mine. I used to wear this in a lot of videos. I'm not a cowboy hat guy. I can't pull it off. This is more just, silly, so I can pull it off. But I will admit, like, I like this style a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Was it called 4-panel top or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I used to wear it outside, and my wife was just like, "Is this for real?"
No, that's good. You can pull that off outside.
Well, I mean,
though,
people
especially
think you're
campfire sort of.
Oh, that's fine. But
Yeah.
like when you wear it out in public, people think, oh, you're a wannabe state trooper, or you're, he actually worked for the Border Patrol. As
Okay.
The guy that I got it from. But this gave me a good excuse to wear the hat. So to the listeners, Nick, we appreciate you coming on here and sharing your experience at Nicks and at the Academy. And we just want to thank the listeners for tuning in, and we've got more to come. So we just want to say thank you, and everyone have a great one.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.